Greetings, watch people, and welcome back to my channel. Something that I've heard thousands of people talk about is how dangerous magnets can be for your watch, and they're right. Something that I haven't seen anybody talk about is how magnetic everyday items are, and in turn, how dangerous everyday items can be for your watch. And that is why I bought an extremely expensive DC Gaussmeter which goes up to 800 Gauss to see if everyday items can in fact damage our watches. And for a little bit of context, the original Rolex mil-Gauss was anti-magnetic up to 1000 Gauss or mil-Gauss, and the current Omega Seamaster, I believe, is anti-magnetic up to 15,000 Gauss. Very different and much higher than the 800 Gauss we're going to be measuring with this meter. First, let's measure a cell phone because that's something that almost everybody uses. I am measuring an iPhone X, so it doesn't have the MagSafe. On the front of the phone, I maxed out at around 137 Gauss, so if you placed your watch directly on the speaker, that could be an issue. On the rear of the phone, I didn't measure anything above 20 Gauss, so I can't imagine many issues there. Now keep in mind, those measurements are only for the iPhone X. The magnet placement and the strength is going to differ from phone to phone, but this gives you just a general baseline. Now let's jump to very popular headphones, the Apple AirPods Pro. I am absolutely stunned that we are getting a reading of 280 Gauss from the Apple AirPods Pro case. The earphones themselves, no real issue, but the case has 280 Gauss. For an anti-magnetic watch, that's not going to cause any problems, but if your watch isn't very anti-magnetic and your AirPods Pro case gets placed on top of your watch, that could actually magnetize your watch. Now let's go ahead and measure the keyboard area of a laptop. For this measurement, I am using a 2019 MacBook Pro. Along the side of the keyboard is where the speakers for this laptop are, and because of that, we hit over 750 Gauss, right where your wristwatch would be resting if you're typing on this keyboard. So again, if you have an anti-magnetic watch, it may not be an issue with this keyboard or with any laptop keyboard because a lot of speakers are placed in that same position, but if your watch is not anti-magnetic, that could actually become an issue for you. Now onto my most used item, the iPad Pro, but we are not measuring the iPad, we are measuring the iPad Apple Magic Trackpad keyboard case thing. Let's look at it. And there you go, the iPad Magic keyboard exceeds 799 Gauss. It maxes out this meter, so I don't know what the actual Gauss reading is. So again, if your watch is not anti-magnetic, this keyboard case could become an issue, and even if your watch is anti-magnetic, this keyboard case could become an issue. I can't say for certain because my meter does not go that high. Now I want to measure the headphones that I use every single day. These are the Sennheiser HD650s, and it is not any kind of issue, but if you put the meter right inside the ear cup, we peak at around 162 Gauss. So if you put your watch directly in the ear cup of your headphones and it is not anti-magnetic, that may become an issue, but nobody's going to do that. Next, because I know a lot of watch people are guitar people, like Adrian Barker over at Bark and Jack, or hey, John Mayer too, let's measure the magnetism of guitar pickups because there are magnets in the guitar pickups. If we measure directly above the strings where you would be picking the strings, we don't exceed 50 or 60 Gauss. But if you were to touch the actual pickup with the meter, you can get a much higher reading, a couple hundred Gauss. So I don't think the pickups on a guitar should be any cause of concern for your watch, and if you are playing the guitar, chances are you shouldn't be wearing your watch on your picking hand because you're much more likely to scrape up the finish on your guitar. Now behind me, I have a massive 12-inch guitar speaker, and if you don't know what's on the back of a guitar speaker, there is a massive magnet. But if we measure in front of the speaker, which is where your hand would be when you're placing a microphone on your speaker, we don't exceed around 110 Gauss, so if your watch is not anti-magnetic, you may still have an issue, but if your watch has any amount of anti-magnetism, you should be fine miking up a guitar cab, assuming you don't have some super powerful magnets. Again, this measurement is just based on the item that I have access to. My speaker is a Celestion Vintage 30, I believe. I am sure there are speakers with much more powerful magnets, and if you do have one of those, maybe it will be an issue for you. And the final item that we're going to be measuring today is something very important to me. It is a microphone. If you don't know, I run another channel called Podcastage where I review audio gear and microphones. Because of that, I use microphones every single day, and I wanted to find out if a microphone could destroy one of my watches. But before we measure the microphone that I'm holding up, I want to address the Shure SM7B because this is such a popular voiceover podcast microphone, and I've seen a lot of watch streamers using this as well. When I measured this, I didn't get any readings that were high enough to cause any amount of concern with a wristwatch. So if you're using the Shure SM7B, you should be fine. But that is not an interesting data point or interesting findings. It may be good news, it may be helpful, but it's not particularly interesting. That's why in my hand, I am holding a ribbon microphone. In the audio realm, this is ancient technology. The way these microphones work is there is a very thin sheet of metal in between two very strong magnets. That's why I wanted to measure one of these. So when we go ahead and measure this microphone, particularly along the sides, which is where the magnets are, the meter actually caps out. This exceeds 799 Gauss. So if you are miking anything up with a ribbon microphone, first off, do not place it directly against your wristwatch. That would be a terrible idea. If you are wearing a non-anti-magnetic watch, chances are it will become magnetized. But if you have an anti-magnetic watch, it still may become an issue because I don't know how high this goes. It could be 1,000,000, it could be 1,000,000,000, it could be 1,000,000,000,000 Gauss. It's not, but it could be. I'm not dead, so it's not. And I can't tell you for certain, but it's not. You get the point. And there you go, that is all that I have to measure for you, but if there's anything you want me to measure with this Gauss meter, let me know in the comments down below, and if I have access to that item, I will measure it, I will respond to you if I remember to, I will film it and upload it as a short to this channel so we can expand the database of everyday items and how much harm they can or may cause to our watches. That is it. That is my video. I hope you found this interesting because this was super fun for me to make. This is data that I was looking for years. I could not find it, so I found out how to measure it, and I'm putting the data out there. So hopefully you found this interesting. If you did, give me a thumbs up because it was very expensive to make. If you hated it, give me a thumbs down. If I did anything wrong, let me know and I'll correct it. And that's it. I'll talk to you later. I'll upload a video with whenever I feel like it. Okay, bye.